Back with another episode about blockchain. Today we are going to talk about Ethereum blockchain and Solidity programming language explicitly. Solidity is an object oriented programming language for implementing smart contracts. Smart contracts are self executing programs which govern the behavior of accounts within the Ethereum state. We will talk about smart contracts in details in another episode. Today we are gonna explicitly concentrate on Solidity programming language alone. Solidity is a curly bracket language. And what do I mean by that? It is heavily influenced by C++ JavaScript and it is designed to target the Ethereum virtual machine. We will talk about Ethereum virtual machine in our later episodes. Now, Solidity is a statically typed language. It supports inheritance, external libraries, and complex user-defined data structures. With Solidity, you can write smart contracts for uses such as voting, crowdfunding, auctions, and blockchain wallets. So let us dive into some codes to get the practical knowledge of Solidity. Here I have opened the good old Remix IDE. You can think of Remix as a playground for learning Solidity programming language as well as writing your smart contracts. Now let us go to the default workspace and click on the contracts folder. Let's create a new file called my contract. Now we are using the .sol extension. Remember, we are dealing with Solidity programming language here, and to create a file with Solidity programming language as source code, we have to mention the .sol extension. Hitting enter, the editor has opened up. Let us reload the editor and we will write some code when the editor opens up. So the editor is up and running. First of all, to write our very first smart contract, we have to mention the version of Solidity language that we are going to use in this code. So how do we mention that? Versioning of Solidity language. This is a comment for better understanding. Now, to mention the version that we are going to incorporate in our very first smart contract code, we have to write pragma solidity caret. We are going to use the 0.8.0 version here. So 0.8.0. Now we have incorporated the version of the Solidity language. Let us write our very first smart contract. To write your first smart contract, you have to use the keyword contract. You can think of contract as a class from object-oriented programming language like Java. Now you have to mention the name of the contract. I am writing the contract as my contract. Start and end curly braces. Inside this smart contract, we will first declare some variables. Now, how do we declare those variables in our Solidity programming language? Let us type state variables as comment. Now we will for start pick two state variables, and the data type we have to mention at first because Solidity is statically typed language. So we will take an integer, an unsigned integer, in this case uint 256. We will make this integer public type and let us name it myint1. Let us pick another integer, unsigned integer uint 256, public myint2. There are a lot of mistakes happening here due to caps lock. Pardon me. myint2. Now we have successfully declared our very first variables in Solidity language. Now we have to initialize these variables. We will initialize these variables with constructor like in any other object-oriented programming language. Initializing variables. To initialize those variables, we have to use the constructor keyword. It will not take any parameters and we will define the type of the function public. And inside this constructor, we will initialize the variables. For myint1, we pick the number 8. For myint2, we pick the number 9. Now we have initialized these variables. Let's go and see if we can see these variables on the network. So how do we do that? We declare a getter function. Now, how to write a function in Solidity? We have to mention the function keyword, name your function. I am going to name my function get my ints. Now I will set the function type as public and I will add a modifier called view. Now you don't have to worry about this view modifier right now. We will go into the details about this view modifier in later episodes explicitly, I promise. Now the view modifier here is used to define the function as read only. Whenever we use the view modifier in any function, we will think of that function as read only. It doesn't modify the state variables. Now we are expecting this function will return something. So we have to add the returns keyword and we are expecting that it will return unsigned integer. So we will type unsigned integer 256 inside that parameter braces. Now start and end curly braces and we will return my int 1 and my 2. Now we have written our very first smart contract in Solidity. Now what we are going to do, we have to compile this smart contract. Now to compile this smart contract, we have to go into the Solidity Compiler. Now we have to select the compiler version according to the version of the language you have mentioned in your source code. Since we have mentioned the version of the language as 0.8.0, we'll select the compiler version as 0.8.0. We have chosen the language as Solidity. The EVM version for right now we are choosing as compiler default. Now we are going to compile this my contract. Let's see, it is giving us an error. So where is this error coming from? Okay, so let me see. I'm hitting the my contract solve button, and yes, the contract is compiled. So I intentionally reproduce this error to show you how such error messages comes in the remix IDE. Now our smart contract is compiled and ready to go. We can talk about other aspects of this smart contract. Here you can deploy and run your smart contracts, or we call it transactions, on our test network. We'll talk about all those things in later episodes. For now, we have just written our very first smart contract. Now, if you liked this video, subscribe my channel, put a like button, and hit the like button. Sorry, I'm behaving like such a dummy. Hit the like button and DM me and follow me on my Twitter handle cs underscore Shantan. That's it for now. See you in the later episodes. Have a productive and positive day. Thank you.